Hoping everyone will have a happy Thanksgiving, as well as moving into the month of December, of course. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and it won't be long. Happy New Year. Welcome to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with TheLibertyBeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show!
Hello, gang. Welcome. Our guest, LuAnne Hunt, a singer-songwriter. I seem to be having a lot of them lately. Just kind of a coincidence, not anything intentional. But first out of the gate, I got a joke with you about the name LuAnne Hunt. Indeed, are you a hunter rather than a gatherer?
No, I'm more of a gatherer. That's for sure.
So you're lying to us. Your name is a lie. And also, my audience knows I can never resist a joke, no matter how bad or how lame. So the other thing I got a joke, but still kind of tongue-in-cheek, semi-serious question. It's like, did your dad want to name you Louise? Your mom wanted to name you Anne? Let's compromise LuAnne.
Actually, my father's name was Lou, and that's it. That kind of how my mom got it. So,
okay.
so.
Yeah, I meant it as a joke, expecting a serious answer, and indeed we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, welcome to the show. The first obvious real answer is who, like, cue the Who, since you're a musical artist, cue the Who song, right? Who are you? Who? We're born, raised, where you are now, all that nitty gritty stuff.
I was born in a little town in Pennsylvania called Conshohocken. And
who the what?
Yeah, Conshohocken. And it's outside of Philadelphia, just a small town, 1 square mile. So when I was a kid, I wanted to be a singer, and I would go around singing, and I was told to shut up, basically, that I had no talent, that I couldn't sing. And in fact, I have a documentary that I just put out a few months ago about my life story. It's called I Won't Stop Singing. So anyway, I went through a lot of adversity in that way. And I finally, when I was an adult, took some voice lessons at a local college out in California, because I had gotten married at that point to a sports writer, and I moved to California. So I took some lessons, and even he told me that my husband at the time, he told me I couldn't sing. I should do something else. So anyway, I just didn't pay attention, and I just kept doing it because music felt so right. And I followed that path. And interestingly enough, my late husband, he started writing songs at a certain point. He wasn't a songwriter, but he just started writing songs. It was very odd, but they were great. And I took them in the studio and I started recording, and that began a whole journey of me being a recording artist and just producing music. I have 25 albums.
Wow. I did not know that yet. I didn't dig, in all honesty, that deep. It's not that I'm not interested in my guests. Obviously, I wouldn't have you as a guest if I weren't interested in having you as a guest. But I kind of want to be like the listeners, meeting you for the first time, not knowing. A lot of show hosts will dig into your entire life history. I don't want to do that. I want us to have an open, natural, like, hey, we just happened to meet at the diner and struck up a conversation. So I, for the most part, am discovering you just as my listeners are.
That's pretty much my story in a nutshell. Of course, there's a lot in between. I also just finished a screenplay that I'm shopping around about my life because the documentary is only 40 minutes, so I can't really tell my whole story, but it's pretty compelling. So anyway, I thought that it would make a good movie. People seem to be interested in the documentary. I've had a lot of great feedback from it. So I thought, why not turn it into something bigger than that, So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, I dare say I'm a big movie buff and I like documentaries, but I dare say I think a majority of documentaries only do so good, right? Majority of people want fiction,
Right.
or at least if it's based on a true story, that's different. A dramatic telling that is based on a true story can and does generally sell a lot more than trying to label something as a documentary. So hopefully somebody will view that opportunity and indeed do it. I'm trying to peddle my Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book to an independent. It's not a book that Hollywood would gravitate to, but I'm hoping an independent studio. And that's the good thing. All our options are a lot bigger than what they were just 20 years ago for smaller studios to look at like your life and say, yes, that would be a nice story to bring to the screen. Whereas the bigger studios, you're not a Marvel character. They
Right, right,
don't want to be bothered with you. Right?
right. Exactly.
Right. It's not going to be a multi-billion-dollar worldwide blockbuster. So, don't want to
Yeah.
bother. But most of us indeed are starving for good, heartfelt stories of reality and that harken back to better times, which brings us to why you're here. I understand you have a paranormal poltergeist song. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. A son, your next, the joke will become obvious, folks, when you hear the title of the song. LuAnne's next single is Ghosts of a Simpler Time, hence the poltergeist joke. Again, I can't resist the lame puns. And I've seen like the first verse, backyard barbecues and fireworks, and I watched the YouTube video just before the show. Backyard barbecues and fireworks, pride for the stars and stripes, 45s. I got a room full of them, and faded jeans, little league, and apple pie. And it's like just the title of the song alone is, oh, yep, definitely gotta have her on the show. Tell us the genesis of that song.
A lot of people have been writing songs to make political statements. And, as an artist, I try not to make like really blatant,
Overt, yeah.
yeah, overt political statements in my songs, because music should bring people together, not divide them, and no matter what side of the aisle you're on, I think that music is something that heals people and unifies people. So I was just thinking about our world and all the stuff that's going on and how it seemed like, at least when I was growing up, things were simpler and we didn't have the threats in the world that we have now. And you long for those days. My fiance and I talk about it all the time. We were always reminiscing about when we grew up and all the wonderful things. So maybe we're idealizing it a little bit too much, but I think it's just a song that is meant to take you back to that space and time. And then it does make a statement like, where is our America? Where did it go? Because we seem so far from those times.
Yeah. I think in a way it doesn't necessarily have to be taken politically, although I view it that way. Again, the Pride for the Stars and Stripes, that definitely strikes a chord with me, and one of the points of this show as the Christitutionalist, Christian-based U.S. Constitution podcast, hearkening to indeed our Judeo-Christian foundations. And but it it the fact that we overcomplicate everything, it seems, in our lives today isn't a left, right, or political issue at all, and can be viewed through that end. Just stop overcomplicating stuff that could really be simple. Why do we make our lives so much harder? And then that part where you say apple pie immediately popped in my head. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that ad?
Yeah, it's true, And my fiance says, when he listens to the song, he just feels like he's there because we remember that stuff. It's in our consciousness and it gives you a great feeling. But there's a sadness too at the same time because, like you said, it's not simple anymore. It's all so complicated.
Yes. I don't know why there are some people, I think more than others, just part of human nature, I guess, that some are always looking. Like, I do have a show on conspiracy theories. Certainly never expected to go down this road with you, but it makes the point of Occam's razor, right? Often the most easy and simple and common sense solution or explanation is often not always, but often the reality. But there are so many today. And indeed, there are conspiracies and there are people who conspire to do things. It's why we invented the RICO laws, to get those who conspire in an act, not just those who commit the criminal act. But anyway, getting way off the beaten path. But the point being, there are some that I dub anti-Occam's razor folks. No matter what it is, they have to take it to the umpteenth level of complication and conspiracy. It's like the light turned red at the corner. It's the Illuminati out to get me kind of thing, right? Again, I didn't really plan to go down this road with you, but your reaction to those people who just have to overcomplicate everything.
Right, right. I agree with you on that. Some of the things that come out that seem like they're conspiracies, they might have some truth to them. You know what I'm saying? But then it's dangerous because then you start to say, well, where's the line between truth and fiction? So I said to my fiance the other day, so we're just to believe everything's a lie. I mean, that's dangerous too. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to find the balance and you have to use your common sense. We were talking about my fiance Jim, he saw something on YouTube, I think, about JFK. There was someone in his car, when he was assassinated, that turned around and shot him, and I was like, come on now. I mean, first of all, there was like thousands and thousands of people standing there as the motorcade went down the street. And so you mean to tell me like some CIA agent or whatever was going to sit in the front seat and turn around and shoot? I said, that's like insanity to me,
And we've all seen the Zaputo film. That's fake. It's deep fake. It's been doctored. But you're right. Yeah, the thousands of people that were there and saw it. Now, the grassy knoll conspiracy will remain forever because of the odd way his head jolted back at that point, suggesting indeed there could have been a shot from the front. And indeed, as you said, thousands of witnesses. There were people who said there was somebody behind the fence on the grassy knoll that ran off after the assassination. So, yeah, but just because some things indeed can be or may be conspiracy, again, not to beat the dead horse on this point, but just because one or two things actually are conspiracy doesn't mean everything on the doggone planet is
I
a
know.
conspiracy.
I totally, I have a pet peeve about that because it's like, wait a sec, because, my fiance goes, did you know they're saying Elvis is alive? And I'm like, oh, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
He's at the Burger King in Kalamazoo.
It's like,
you heard that one, right?
yeah, and he's like, but this guy, he looks just like him and he sounds just like him. And it's like, come on now. Come on now.
Yeah, him and Jim Morrison are working at the local Burger King in Kalamazoo. Yeah, I know. At any rate, I indeed got us way down a rabbit hole. Never intended for this discussion. But as I always say, point and purpose of me as a host is I hit record and we just go where it goes.
Right.
It just kind of went there. So let's indeed get back to the not that conspiracies aren't serious, but the seriousness of your stuff. Now, you said, how many albums did you say?
I'm actually working on my 25th.
25. Wow. So, and Ghost of a Simpler Time, again, I just watched it on YouTube. Obviously, I encourage people to buy the single. What album is this single going to be a part of a collection of?
My upcoming 25th album. So
you don't have the title yet, or
of that album, not yet. I'm doing a lot of thinking on that because I've got some options, and it has to do with too the songs that are on it and the vibe that it puts out,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's not like I have a title. Now I'm going to throw together some songs that kind of fit the concept. It's not a concept album. You put together songs, and then the creative process for what the title should be comes later for you.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Everybody's process. I come from a musical family, although I never got a record deal myself. So, and today's different, of course. Everything's online. But my dad had a record deal. Everybody's process is kind of different. Like, I wasn't planning to ask this, but this just popped in my head. So we talked about kind of the process, the cart or the horse, which your title for your album or your songs comes first. Jethro Tull, Ian Anderson, and Martin Barr often say unlike most, they write music first. Then they try to fit some lyrics into the music. Are you more traditional in that? Yes, you come up with a lyric, then you develop the music, or are you one of the oddballs like the members of Jethro Tull?
Generally, I write lyrics first. It's really rare that I'll write music first because, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll just have an idea. And so I write down the lyrics. It makes sense. But a lot of times those lyrics go through a lot of change as I start writing the music. So.
Okay. Yeah. Because once you start when you write lyrics, generally there's a melodic flow to them.
Right.
But once you start to put it into the music you're fitting, it might have to change to fit the melodic flow of the music a little better. Yes?
Right. Exactly.
a little behind the scenes of the music industry for everybody. Yeah. Well, I've had, like I said, I've had several other singer songwriters, and those thoughts didn't pop into my head. So this makes this a very unique and different interview. So that's good. You've got to listen to all the interviews with all the singer songwriters. We don't cover the same ground every time. It's like I like to joke when I go on an interview for one of my books. Oftentimes, if they're a good host, it's not the same script every time, right? And it's so refreshing to be on a show that isn't, welcome to the book show, tell us about your book. It's like you could do them in your sleep.
That's true.
So what was the album before this?
It's called Miles and Memories. That album was sort of a way to mark my 30 years in the music business.
Oh, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the songs are a little retrospective on that. There's some story songs on there. And the coolest thing, though, that happened with that album was 30 years ago, my late husband, he and I had written a song called He's in Paradise with a Pair of Dice. Yeah, it's funny. So, but it sounds like a novelty song, right? But it was just so beautiful, and we recorded it. It was on a demo album that I did in 1994. So, anyway, it just kind of always was in the back of my mind how much that song meant to me. So when I was going to do Miles and Memories, I decided I wanted to unearth something from that very first demo album. And I chose that song just because it's such a beautiful song. So anyway, it's about a gambler, and he has given up his love and family and everything to follow his gambling. And it's very poignant. And I reworked it. I changed the title. It's now called The Vice. And it just tells this, wonderful story of this gambler and how his life progresses and how he'd do anything, just to win. And he's not all that interested in the other things of life, but yet at the same time, he's lonely. And I decided that I wanted to do it musically completely different than the other version. So I just have it real stripped down. It's just a piano and a classical violin. So it's absolutely beautiful. And that corny title, He's in Paradise with Paradise, I still sing those words in the chorus. But now, because of the way that it's been treated, it just sounds beautiful, and it doesn't sound like a novelty song. But yeah, that was the highlight for me for this album.
We'll go into this at the end, of course. Where can people find you? But is the demo version available like at LuAnneHunt.com that they could do a comparison of what it was to what it became?
No, that's not online. So it was done well back then, but I just felt like there was some lyric things that needed some tightening. And because when you write songs, you like them to be as visual as possible. And there was just some concepts that I thought could be stronger, to create more of a visual picture in the mind. So some of the lyrics are just a little tweak. They're not remarkably different or anything, but just a little bit.
Like I said in the green room before the show, my audience knows I like to try to keep the episode shorter because of everybody's attention span these days. Plus, try to get it in so that a podcast, people can hear it on the way to or from work, or, at lunch, 10 minutes to the diner, plug in, listen while eating, and then still have enough time to unplug, finish up, and get back to work, sort of thing. Whereas some shows go 3-4 hours. It's like, who's got the time for that?
That's true.
So I want to, while we're recording in summer, behind the scenes kind of peek there for people. This probably won't air till fall, and we might start to get in the Christmassy mood, the Christmas shopping season. So obviously, then I will ask you about your Christmas Without You album.
That's on an album called How Christmas Feels to Me that I recorded in 2008. And Christmas Without You was commissioned by Patsy Cline. She had asked my songwriter friend, Lawton Giles, and his writing partner to write her that song. She was friends with them because they had written six of her songs before she became real famous. So she got to know them. So they wrote her this Christmas song, but her label didn't want her to record it. And Lawton and his partner, they changed the words. It was called How Can I Face Tomorrow? And you can look that up on YouTube. But it didn't do well. They put it out on the charts and it just tanked. So Patsy didn't get her Christmas song and she was pretty upset, according to what Lawton said. And he just put that song away until 2008 when I asked him if he had any Christmas songs that I might be interested in recording. And he showed me that and I said, yeah, I mean, there's no way that I wasn't going to do it. So that song's put me on the map because it's gone all over the world. It's climbing up to 600,000 views on YouTube. And I've been written up in a lot of big publications and I've been on charts and all that. But I think the best thing is that fans of Patsy's, they have found out now that she wanted to give them a Christmas song, but her label stopped it. So people are thrilled to know that she actually commissioned the song and wanted to do that for them.
I would have never imagined that would be the response when I started down this road. So yeah, Patsy Cline, that connection. You were in the right place at the right time, knowing the right person, almost as if it were divine intervention that song was really meant for you and this time rather than then.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because I have said that to people that it's almost like I wasn't even born yet when that song was written. And it's like it was written for me, all these years later.
Some will call that, just a worldly coincidence, and others indeed will call that divine. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a miracle, but indeed just the way God has plans for things at different times. These hard times we're in now, those sorts of things are really maybe needed more now than it was then. So indeed, like it was put off to the side for
right.
You here. Although, what year did that come out?
My version, 2008.
Oh, okay. So it's been quite a while, really, since that came out. I did see it online when I do some research.
Yeah.
But like I say, I prefer to know very little, so it goes natural flow discussion. But yeah, I caught that song. I didn't think to look at the year of it. When we're done, I'll be hopping over to YouTube to give that a view.
Yeah, it's a great song. And, it seemed weird because why would Patsy's label not want her to record a Christmas song? I mean, that would have generated income for the rest of eternity. So it is kind of bizarre that they didn't want that.
Well, I guess really then they just didn't view like artists do now. It's like almost obligatory to have a Christmas album so that it has that every year something can resurface from it
right.
kind of thing. They just didn't really have that mentality. I was going to say it's a shame Patsy didn't persist and insist, but then we wouldn't have your version if she did.
Yeah, she gave me a gift, that's for sure. So
Okay. Wrapping things up, I gave your website, but indeed, let's give it again. Where can people find you?
They can find me at LuAnneHunt.com, LuAnneHunt.com. And if you put my name in Google, I'll show up everywhere. Spotify, iTunes, you name it. There's pages of ways to find me. So
Yeah, I did see you. Somebody has a wiki page for you, and
mhm.
so I think on Wikipedia, I'm on everybodywiki.com. I think you have a wiki page on Wikipedia itself.
Mhm.
So thank you, LuAnne Hunt, who's really a gatherer, so her name is a lie. Thank you, LuAnne Hunt, for joining Constitutionalist Politics today. And I was going to say one more thing about the Christmas song. I'll go view the video. Christmas in July, but it's actually August for recording.
Yes.
Thank you. Take care. God bless.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Hey, gang, a brief interruption in the show about Christmas giving, kind of, sort of, or to ask, are you a coffee drinker? What about other coffee drinkers you know? It's indeed Christmas giving time, Hanukkah giving time. Again, I want to ask you, those coffee drinkers on your gift giving list, socks that'll get put in a drawer they forgot you gave them, a tie or a shirt that'll end up buried in the back of the closet they forgot you gave them. How about something useful like blackout coffee? Yes, I am partnering with Blackout Coffee. You can use promo code JOSEL20. Joseph for Joseph, L20 for 20% off. JOSEL20 promo code. Or, better yet, I've created a shortcut, tinyurl.com/blackout coffees. And of course, blackout coffees all run together as one word, not three separate words. So again, tinyurl.com. I love using their shortcut services /blackout coffees. Should take you right in and automatically apply your 20% discount. So for yourself or for others, this Christmas, give Blackout Coffee something you know they're going to use, something they're going to enjoy, something that they then fondly remember you and your gift every time they sip from the Blackout Coffee cup of coffee. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Merry Christmas. Thank you for having tuned in for Constitutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Just wanted to give a brief shout out and thank you to all the folks on iHeartRadio, Player FM, being 2,
in the top 3 platforms that my show, Constitutionalist Politics, is most often listened. So thank you all. Take care.
Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.